The fantasy season is right around the corner, so it's probably time for us to actually take a look at sleepers. So we're looking at 4 wide receivers being drafted outside of the top 50 in Dynasty startups right now that could have an impact in 2023 and beyond. First on the list, it is Nico Collins with the Houston Texans. Now, he's only 24 years old. He's heading into year 3. And when we look at last season, while the overall statistics are not exciting, the peripherals are exactly where I want them to be for a wide receiver that could, break out or at least gain a ton of value heading into 2024. He is starting to see the ball at a much higher clip, at least relative to his rookie season. And now you factor in, you have CJ Stroud. Brandon Cooks is gone. His main competition is John Mechie, coming back from cancer, which is not a small feat. You have Robert Woods, you have Xavier Hutchinson. There's a lot going on here where it starts to look as if Nico Collins should be the focal point of this pass game. Now, obviously, CJ Stroud's a rookie. I still think he's an upgrade over Davis Mills, but again, pump the brakes because rookies don't tend to perform very well year one, even if they're going to be superstars. So Nico Collins probably never gets to top 20 this season, but he has the potential to be a top 36 wide receiver. And again, he's being drafted way outside of the top 50. So I like Nico Collins a lot heading into 2023. Now, turning our attention to the Chicago Bears, Darnell Mooney is on my list as an interesting sleeper, not necessarily because of the ultimate ceiling, but because of the price he's currently listed at. Currently, he is coming off the board as wide receiver 67 in your startups. Back-to-back seasons with a 25% plus target share is not easy to do. A lot of wide receivers will never get to that point. A lot of wide receivers will never have a 1,000-yard season. And Mooney did that 2 years ago with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. So he has shown he is capable of producing in the NFL, right? He averaged over 12 points per game in 2021. So we've seen what a potential, not necessarily ceiling, but a mid-level performance could look like for Darnell Mooney. Obviously, DJ Moore is there. That is going to hurt the target share tremendously. But he's still going to be the wide receiver 2 here. He's still going to go over a 20% target share. And with an uptick in passing, that could lead to 100 to 120 targets potentially. That is fine for me. Like I again, at wide receiver 67, I don't really care about the floor because it costs me nothing to get in. And he hits free agency potentially after this season. If that's the case, Darnell Mooney gets entirely more interesting because we know he's talented, and if he finds an offense that is willing to utilize him or at least passes more, Darnell Mooney could be a very interesting sleeper heading into the 2024 season. Next up, we have a rookie wide receiver. I'm talking Michael Wilson, the 3rd-round draft pick for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Michael Wilson is an interesting case when you put him in the context of the Arizona Cardinals wide receiver group because he's tall. He's the only man on that team that has actual height, because when you look at Hollywood Brown, you look at Greg Dortch, you look at Rondale Moore, if you want to consider Zach Pascal, sure, he's 6 feet, but I don't care about Zach Pascal. So when you look at the other 3, they're all well under 6 foot, right? They're all 5'10 and under, 5'9 and under. Michael Wilson fills a void in this offense that they're going to be searching for. And that, to me, is what makes him so interesting. He has the ability to be the lead red zone target as a rookie. And he's going to start slow because we haven't seen him play a ton of college ball, and he's always hurt, and all of these other things kind of, I think, stopped him from reaching a potential ceiling. And when you factor in Kyler's probably not ready week 1, things are not going to be fun for Michael Wilson early. But as we get further and further into the season, as he gets his feet wet, as Kyler Murray gets healthy, he becomes significantly more viable. If I'm just looking for an interesting player that can develop over the course of the season and maybe be a lot more interesting in 2024, Michael Wilson is one of those guys. Before we get to our 4th and final wide receiver, guys, if you like this video and you want to see more wide receiver sleepers, check out the DLF YouTube membership. We're going to have 2 additional players not talked about in this video over there. Check that out, guys, the DLF membership underneath the bonus content here. So to close this out, we have Jakobi Meyers, and we talked about Jakobi Meyers several times over the last year. Last season, I was on Jakobi Meyers hard. And the reason is he continues to get better year after year. He has 3 straight years of a 20% plus target share. He has 3 straight years increasing his points per game, right? Peaking at wide receiver 30 last season, averaging over 12 points per game. That is good. That is solid, especially because you factor in it came with Mac Jones. He also did that playing with a terrible wide receiver group. So he's facing the top corners. He's facing slot guys, wherever he's getting moved around. He is facing the best coverage because he's the best wide receiver on his team and has been probably for the last 2 or 3 years. Well, now you pick him up, you put him in Las Vegas. Jimmy G is not special, but Jimmy G is probably better, or he's a better version of Mac Jones. Devontae Adams is the alpha there. Jakobi Meyers comfortably slots in as the wide receiver too. I think he's better than Hunter Renfrow and should outproduce him pretty easily. He's not flashy. He's definitely not exciting, but he is consistent and he is talented. And those are the kind of guys I look for. And should anything happen to Devontae Adams, Jakobi Meyers really does have a ceiling of, top 24 if he's getting the ball from Jimmy G instead of Mac Jones like the last couple of years. And before we get out of here, there are 4 rookies I just want to highlight. Again, if they are on waivers somehow or available for trade, these are guys I'd be targeting as, interesting sleepers heading into the season. We have Rashee Rice, obviously, potentially a starting wide receiver in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, second round draft capital. Love that. After him, we have Cedric Tillman. Now, Cedric Tillman is buried on the depth chart. He's the wide receiver 4. I ultimately do not think he is going to be a starter by the end of the season. He has a chance to push for the wide receiver 3 role and maybe relegate Donovan Peoples-Jones. But as a long-term play with an aging Amari Cooper, question marks around Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman could make a name for himself maybe at the end of the season or early in 2024. Next up, we have Josh Downs. And again, Josh Downs, undersized, third-round draft capital. We know the story. He's also tied to Anthony Richardson. So I don't think 2023 is going to be fun because I think there's going to be growing pains in that offense for passing, just moving the ball, all of those things that would typically lead to production. Josh Downs is a hold that I'm looking to buy if I'm not contending in 2023. And finally, we have Jayden Reed in the slot, second-round draft pick with the Green Bay Packers. Now, he fills a massive need in this offense because Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are not slot guys. They don't belong there. So Jayden Reed really does have that role basically locked up from day one. He's a good route runner. He is probably something Jordan Love's going to need because Romeo Doubs can't get open. Christian Watson might be inconsistent. Jayden Reed could be the safety blanket in year 1. All right, guys, that's all we have. Again, if you want 2 additional names, sign up for the DLF YouTube membership. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.